Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a Generational Anime Podcast. I am Charles, and I'm here with my father, Mark.
Hello, Charles. We're back.
We are.
We're back, MFers.
So we're going to be covering Bleach 1,000 Year Blood War Cour 1 today. Cour 2 will be next, and then hopefully we should be able to pace ourselves properly where we can catch up and do Cour 3 live, because that comes out tomorrow. So if I watch all of Cour 2 tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah, you maybe could do it.
Maybe.
I like that. I like our format has gone from kind of just general. Well, we knew we were going to start with Steins Gate.
Yeah, but it's
general anime to Steins Gate episode by episode, and now we're
us to Bleach episode by episode,
turning into a Bleach podcast.
Bleach is awesome, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But first, we have an email.
All right.
This email comes from Brad. It says, "Hey, Mark and Charles. Hey, Brad.
Hey, Brad.
I just found
Check out the brain on Brad.
I just found
Pulp
your
Fiction. Sorry.
I just found your podcast recently after rewatching all of Steins Gate for probably my 10th time. He's probably got more watches than you do. The original series is my number 5 anime of all time, and hearing your thoughts on the entire anime franchise was such a treat. I don't enjoy Zero as much. I probably have it around 20 on my list on its own, but still hold the property in high regard. Baccano is a series I would recommend not reading about on my anime list because the synopsis there is very spoiler heavy. Instead, watch the OP in episode 1 to see if you're interested, because both will tell you everything you need to know about what the series will be, and then the next 12 episodes will tell you how it got there, with the last 3 being Aftermath. Sadly, it's one of the series that wasn't brought over to Crunchyroll after Funimation was shut down, so there's no legal way to watch it outside of buying a physical release or possibly getting it on Amazon through a VPN. Keep up the good work, guys. Best regards, Brad."
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you, Brad. And if you guys want to shoot us an email, feel free to email us at generationalanimepod@gmail.com.
Yes, please. Okay, I have a couple things for Brad. Thank you, Brad, first of all, for emailing over, and thank you for listening to us. I want to know, Brad, will you email back? I want to know what your top 4 anime are, just out of curiosity. If you love Steins Gate and you've got it at 5, I'm really curious what your top 4 are. And yes, I have watched Baccano. I love Baccano, and I want to get Charlie to watch it.
I love Baccano.
It's a great show. And hey, Brad.
Great show, great Baccano.
So, greatest of all shows.
It's the greatest of all shows. Great Baccano.
If you didn't listen to our first episode, please do, because in there we did rankings, and I have it somewhere in the top 15 for sure. I will push Charlie to watch Baccano.
I'll do it.
Because yes, it is a great show. I agree with your assessment completely. Okay, so are we going?
I want to talk about how I read the medium of Bleach normally. Because
okay, wait, before we go to Bleach, because that's what this episode's about.
You want to talk about One Piece?
I do. I want to update One Piece.
So he's been watching One Piece. I haven't. I've been too busy doing other stuff. But why don't you go? You speak for a little bit.
So we started doing an update of One Piece before every podcast. It's how long
we were at Alabasta.
It's how long we've been paused. How long we've paused this for. I want to get back to a regular cadence so badly, and I know this is all over the place right now. But
look, 1,000 Year Blood War is going to set us on pace because we can pace it with the episode releases.
That's perfect. So so you kind of gave up, or I don't gave up is the right word, but you didn't continue to watch Bleach, and I was tired of waiting for you. Or not Bleach, sorry, One Piece.
I was gonna say.
So I have been trudging through it. I love it. I'm now up to episode 259. So I am in Water 7, and it's great. And I am going to get caught up eventually. I was looking at it last night and realized that I'm almost a quarter of the way through it now. But it's great. I love it. I'm having so much fun, and it's pushed me from watching other stuff, so I really need to figure out how to pace it. But anyhow.
So
that's the catch up. And I told you last night I've got to Sensitive Frankie.
Have you got to the part where he sits down at the table and he's drinking tea?
With Usopp.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about that. There's a scene later on. It's like a famous scene. I say famous. It's a very memed scene. And he's just sitting there at a table drinking tea very casually. and he just sips it, and he just flips the table. It's really funny.
No, I haven't. No. Okay. Well, there was a scene last night. Spoilers for everybody. So if
if you guys haven't,
if you don't want to be spoiled,
if
for
you don't want
One
to be
Piece,
spoiled,
I'll give you 3, 2,
look,
1.
you haven't been spoiled for One Piece. Is all I'm
No,
gonna
I know,
say.
but
And I've taken that as such a granted. He does not know one of the biggest spoilers in all of One Piece, and I'm not going to let him know.
yeah, don't tell me. Okay, so Sanji and Usopp. Sanji was talking. He found out why Robin left or chose to go with CP9, and him and Usopp were talking about it, and Frankie overheard it. He started crying, and Sanji looked.
Frankie's great.
Sanji looked at me and said, "Why are you crying?" And he said,
Because Robin's so hot.
No, he said, "I'm not crying. You're crying." It was just such a stupid baby reaction to say, "I'm not crying. You're crying."
So the whole kind of dynamic that people always say is that like Robin and Frankie get shipped together
Oh, okay.
a lot, and the joke is that Robin and Frankie are like the mom and dad to Chopper.
Oh, that's pretty funny. Okay, that makes sense. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Bleach.
Bleach, baby. All right, so let's talk about the
Let's just
history of it real quickly. Oh, that was something I was with my headphones.
okay.
So I've watched Bleach.
He watched Bleach. He watched the anime.
Yeah, I've
A
watched the
while
whole thing.
back.
A while back. I love it, and I had watched the first 2 cores of Thousand Year Blood War, though I've kind of forgotten them. And you've got a good buddy who loves Bleach.
Oh my
He's
god.
an expert.
We're gonna pull him on here when we get to like the actual daily or weekly Thousand Year Blood War episodes.
So what made you? So you read the manga.
What made me want?
What made
to
you decide
read
all of a sudden
Bleach
just read it?
is because they would always talk about Bleach, and we also played that Roblox Bleach game,
Okay.
and I'd always just have questions for him. And at some point, I was just like, you know what? I'm done of just relying on him for questions. Why don't I just go read this and try and understand it myself?
So you read the manga in 4 days.
I read the manga in 4 days, 4 school days, in school. I think if I just sat down and committed to it, I could have read Bleach in 2 days.
Okay.
So I read all the way up to the end of Fullbringer arc. My friend, who's the expert here, he's Ginger, don't worry. He said, what you want to do is you want to watch Thousand Year Blood War. Do not read Thousand Year Blood War Taite Kubo. He said,
I don't know what's causing it now.
I don't know. There's some audio glitch. I don't know if you guys can hear it.
It's got something to do with my headphones, I feel like, but okay.
I don't know. But he was like, hey, you don't want to read Thousand Year Blood War because Taite Kubo himself does not like the ending. Thousand Year Blood War, he's going to rework what he didn't like about the manga. So Thousand Year Blood War is the more canon way to enjoy that last part of Bleach.
Okay.
He says, you can read the rest of it, but just don't read Thousand Year Blood War because the ending to Thousand Year Blood War is not what Taite Kubo liked and wanted.
Okay.
So that's what I did. I read all of Bleach up to Fullbringer arc. I really, really enjoyed it. There's something about Bleach to me. The fights never really felt too long.
Yeah.
So I very much enjoyed that. I think it had good pacing.
Yep.
And it very much had, as much as it was a slightly predictable storyline, it was just enjoyable. It has good characters. I like the element of comedy thrown in. Like, I think they do such a good job blending it all and getting you involved in the story. And I think the deeper meaning within Bleach of just Zanpakuto's toes and all that, and just the kind of mental image that is painted to you about the soul and the will of the heart is a really cool undertone to add to this story. And that's why I really enjoyed it.
And you and I talked about this some. I think that kind of universally, maybe I don't know if universal is too strong for it, but of the big three,
Bleach is the least popular.
Yeah, and
but that's yeah, I don't know.
But I guess that doesn't necessarily mean
it's bad
that people think it's bad. But I've heard a lot of people that say, "Oh, it's not so great." But
I disagree.
I
really
disagree
like
too. And what
Bleach.
you and I have talked about, which is my favorite part of it, is just Ichigo's growth throughout the whole
Oh
thing.
yeah,
Like,
no,
that to
that's
me
genuinely one of the best parts
Yeah,
of Bleach is Ichigo goes through so much and he learns so much. And I mean, we'll get to this near the end of Thousand Year Blood War. Like I I was almost about to tear up
Yeah.
at the end of 1,000 Year Blood War.
Okay, so
Or Cour 1 at least.
So
because,
you,
good lord.
you read
I've read
watched
through Bleach very
through
freshly.
Fullbringer. So
yes, I know pretty much. I could recap the general
no.
events of the manga.
So now we're at 1,000 Year Blood War.
Yeah.
So how do we want to go through this? Kind of episode by episode, but we're not breaking down every episode.
I say we should just go episode by episode and kind of talk about them in lengths of. I don't want to say arcs within it, but like talk about the stuff that happens. Kind of recap the story.
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah.
Not episode by episode, but just the general story.
Do you want to start? Should we start by talking about how freaking cool it looks?
Oh yeah. So for some reason, when going to make 1,000 Year of Blood War, they completely. I don't want to say they overworked the animation of the original series because Fullbringer had good animation, but their budget, I don't know what it is, but oh my god, 1,000 Year Blood War has some of the cleanest animation I've seen. And yeah, of course, there's animes with definitely better animation, but I think for Bleach, it works so well, and everything looks so fucking cool.
The pink, red, and blue.
Oh my god, they're the
are
shading
so awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
It's so freaking cool. It's so stylized and cool looking the whole way through.
No, definitely.
And one of my, I've got it in the notes somewhere, but one of my favorite things is when they do recaps from the original Bleach. They add
the shading.
Add the pink shading into those, and they're so cool looking
it's
too.
So well done.
Freaking love it.
All right, so
it starts. I know with
so
our heroes saving a couple of other Soul Reapers.
So, and I quote from Wikipedia: Soul Reapers Runosuke, Yuki, and Shino Marurame are assigned as the new guardians to Karakura Town following the mass disappearance of Hollows from the human world. They are ambushed by Hollows but rescued by Ichigo, Orihime, Chad, and Uru. 2 days later, Ichigo meets Asguardo Erbin, a member of the Wandenreich. Ebram attempts to use a Quincy medallion to seal Ichigo's Bankai, but he destroys it and makes him retreat. At the same time, a group of individuals representing the Wandenreich, the Quincy Empire, ambush the head captain Yamamoto's office in the Soul Society and deliver a fatal wound to Lieutenant Sasakibe? Lieutenant Sasakibe, as an example for the impending fate of the Soul Reapers. Meanwhile, 11th Squad member Ikaku and Yumichika investigate the disappearance of thousands of civilians from the Rukon district to the Wandenreich's base, Sabern. Urban delivers a report to Wabahach, the Quincy king.
Wahaba.
Wahaba.
Well, I know.
I don't know.
They call him Wahaba.
Wahaba. So,
okay.
First of all, the opening scene.
You remember that?
It's so cool because they start out the opening scene like this guy gets surrounded by like 4 Hollows. Yep. His other friend's almost dead.
Yep.
And he's looking like he's about to die. And then all of a sudden, I think one of them gets sliced in half, right? One of the Hollows gets sliced in half. And then 4 silhouettes gather around him. And you know exactly who the 4 are. And they reveal themselves. And then it starts playing number 1 Bankai theme.
Yes.
And oh my God.
And doesn't it cut to each of them? Remember when?
Yeah, it cuts to each of them. It gives them a title card.
Yeah, it gives them a title card.
So cool. And oh my gosh.
So awesome.
It's so fucking cool. And then they do the theme, they play the stuff. Bleach, okay. Side tangent here. The music in Bleach is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Genuinely, that's part of the reason to me why Bleach is good as it is, because the music is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I read the manga listening to the OST because I needed it.
And particularly the song number 1, all the variations of number 1.
Oh my God.
And all the Hispanic influenced.
Tite Kubo's a genius.
Huaco Mundo songs are really cool. So
was there anything to you in episode 1 that really stood out?
the beginning, what we just
the
talked
beginning.
about.
But I think other than that, it was a really good expectation of what.
Yeah, it just
kind
sets
of
the
expect.
scenes about what's about to happen.
Yeah, you get kind of reintroduced to your characters. You know who they are. I mean, you should, but like, you kind of get a sense of what is about to happen. Oh, I like when Ichigo gets mad at the Arankar for standing on his bed.
Oh yeah, that's pretty funny.
He's like, "Get your feet off my bed," and the guy's like, "What'd you say?" And he's like, "Get your feet off my bed."
That's funny.
And he like tackles him at the window.
And that's the guy who's trying. So it occurs to me as we're doing this, we're about to try to review 24 episodes.
12.
Oh yeah, because we're just doing the first
Cour.
We're not doing Cour 2.
We haven't watched Cour 2.
Yes, we have.
No, we haven't. You've watched Cour 2. I haven't.
I thought you've watched. Okay, so you've only finished Cour 1.
We only finished Cour 1. That last episode I saw with you was the ending of Cour 1.
Oh, okay. All right. So in my head, I'm thinking we went through all 24. Okay. All right. So because
You're not into the mic.
I don't know what we can do. We got a new setup here. We're trying to do this from the living room.
Yeah, we're on a couch right now with a laptop.
setup's
my
not
my setup's fine.
Yeah, your
It's your
setup's
setup.
great. My setup's
We just
not
need to
as
sub
ideal.
that up for a tripod and do it this way. So episode 2 is Foundation Stones. Nelliel and Pesci go to the human world and inform Ichigo that Hueco has been overthrown by Wandenreich after its leader Holly Bell was defeated by Wabahach. God, Holly Bell is so bad.
Holly Bell.
Oh, that's another thing about Bleach. It's got such hot women.
Yes.
I was gonna say you better agree with me on that point, or else I look weird.
Yes, I agree with you.
The Arankars of Hueco Mundo have either joined the Quincies or been killed, or were enslaved by Kisuke. Or were enslaved. Okay, not enslaved by Kisuke. If we killed or enslaved Kisuke or Hime, Chad, Nelly, and Pesci go to the human world. Meanwhile, Wandenreich's hunting captain, Stern Ritter J, lets the test the Arankars' ranks.
Are we going to do this where you read every one of these?
No.
Okay.
Because what I'm going to do is I'm introducing this, and then we're just going to talk about the fight in Hueco Mundo.
Okay.
So Ichigo gets called to Hueco Mundo by Nell, and oh my god, this was such a funny story. So I was just watching funny Nell clips because I think Nell is a funny Bleach character.
Uh-huh.
And I saw a clip of Nell in widescreen, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Or like widescreen 1,000 Year Blood War art. And I was like, is this 1,000 Year Blood War? I didn't know Nell was in 1,000 Year Blood War. So I text my Bleach friend. I say, hey, I think I got spoiled on 1,000 Year Blood War. I didn't know Nell was here. And he goes, dude, you just spoiled yourself on the next episode you're about to watch. You spoiled yourself on episode 2. Like, what? Okay. So, but Ichigo gets called by Nell and Pesci because Donna Chaka was kidnapped in Hueco Mundo. And they go to Hueco, and it's really cool to see Hueco again. Because it's like you wouldn't think they'd go back. But it's a complete mess. There's dead Arankars everywhere. There's blue fire. It's more deserted than it already was. And it cuts to the Sternritter J, I think it was. I can't remember his name. And he's doing his dictator stuff. And he's like, all right, which one of you can join the army?
So this is setting everything up. That basically the Quincies have invaded Hueco Mundo, and they are trying to recruit whoever they can.
Because it's revealed that the guy who Ichigo fought in the last episode was actually an Arankar from Hueco because they submitted.
Yes, and it established that what he was trying to do was steal Ichigo's Bankai.
Yes,
and he wasn't successful. So that's setting this whole thing up, and then the Soul Society gets invaded.
Yes.
And they kill off no-name second lieutenant or whatever when they attack.
Yeah.
I always forget his name. I'm so bad with names in Bleach. The head captain. Yamamoto. They attack his office, basically.
Yeah. And they say, hey, you better fuck off or this is what's going to happen to you.
Well, they're basically they just basically told him, we're about to invade you.
Oh, yeah.
We're about to wipe you off the face of the earth. Or the face of the...
Yeah, but Ichigo doesn't know this yet.
Correct.
So Ichigo goes to Hueco, and Uru stays behind
Yes.
as well while all this happens.
Oh, that's right. Because they were in. So they
because
they
Ichigo,
reconvene in Ichigo's room in
yes.
Karakura Town. Katakura Town.
Yeah, because Ichigo also noticed that the guy who tried to steal his Bankai had a Quincy pendant.
Yeah.
And so does this other guy later on. I mean, because he's a Quincy. But Ururu stays behind. They go to Hueco, right? Encampment. They're basically kidnapping all the Arankars and forcing them to either be strong or die. And then two try to rebel. They do a little bit of work, but Sternritter J kills them. And then Ichigo, Chad, and Orihime show up. And they're like, all right, buddy, we're gonna kill you.
Yes.
And then it's also revealed in a little bit that the three girls serving under Haribel are still alive.
Yeah.
So the six of them team up to all kill Sternritter J.
Yes.
And it's a cool fight. It lasts probably 2-3 episodes?
Yeah, I think so.
In between other scenes as well.
Mhm.
But it's a cool fight. He does a lot. And I think it's a very good baseline to what Quincy powers are. Because he pops Let's, which is revealed in that point that Uru, when it comes to Quincy's, is way underdeveloped. That his technology is... It's technology. That his Quincy powers are so far behind and disconnected from the rest of the Quincies that he doesn't... Everything Ichigo would know about Quincy's because of Uru just goes out the window.
Okay.
Because there's one point where he brings out a sword, too.
Yeah.
And Ichigo's like, I didn't think Quincy's used blades. And he's like, well, Uru's underdeveloped and not with the times. So there's a part later on I thought it was really cool when he fuses with the monster that the three girls summon.
Oh, yeah.
Because the three girls summon that kind of like Bigfoot-looking hollow thing. And he goes to attack Sternritter J, and Sternritter J uses his Voltstandig to absorb the hollow. And it's really cool how he kind of gets this weird, gross fusion look. And he's like, I didn't want to do this, but...
He's extremely powerful.
Yeah.
And so I didn't start taking
No,
notes
it's all
till
good.
Episode 6, so all this kind of runs together. But while they're fighting... Concurrently, the Serite begins to be attacked.
Yes,
by,
the Serite is beginning to be attacked
by Quincy. So
and then
and Ichigo doesn't know this. So Ichigo's occupied fighting Sternritter J.
And that was Wahach's plan, is that Ichigo would be preoccupied with Sternritter J and wouldn't be able to come back and defend the Serite. So that fight finishes. Do they kill Sternritter J, or do they get pretty close to killing Sternritter J?
Funny, I don't remember.
It doesn't matter.
No, they can't have killed him because, and again, when I think is Kisuke is the one that tells him that they're being. How does he find out they're being attacked?
Yeah, they find out they're being attacked from Kisuke. Kisuke goes to open a Gargantua, and then Sternritter J, as a last resort, jails Ichigo.
Yeah,
because that's what the J is.
So
the J is jail.
Yeah, so he traps him in that
Gargantua. Yeah,
it's a what the hell is the Quincy energy called?
Ryatsu.
Raichu.
No, Ryatsu. Ryatsu is what all Soul Reapers use.
Reichi.
Oh, yeah.
He captures him in a jail cell of Reichi, basically.
Yeah. Reichi. I don't know. Whatever it is.
So Ichigo is caught.
Caught in the Gargantua.
Yeah.
In a Quincy jail cell, and basically, because the other side, he's trying to get to the Soul Society that's being attacked. Meanwhile, so what's happened in Soul Society? I think the Quincy's appeared. They're
basically just overpowering the hell out of everybody. They're stealing their Bankais.
Stealing the Bankais.
Byakuya loses his Bankai.
Renji doesn't, unfortunately. And they're all getting their asses beat. Toshiro loses his Bankai.
Yep.
I don't think Shunsui loses his Bankai because he didn't use
No,
it.
he doesn't lose his. And so they're all, they're getting beaten pretty bad. And
Bad.
so old man
And Yamamoto
decides to finally show his power.
Yeah, so he
No, okay. So what happens is
goes up to Wabahach.
Well, wait, but before that, so remember, Shinsui was fighting that guy, and then he felt old man, Yamamoto. Yamamoto. I don't know. I'll never remember.
Because what happened? Well, what actually happened was he felt the spiritual pressure, right? But, the whole thing started because Kenpachi was about to go haywire.
Okay.
On Wabahach.
Okay.
Or Wahach.
Wahaba.
All
I know is that's what old man Yamamoto says. Wahaba. That's what he calls him.
But no, Kenpachi's about to go blade slice the hell out of Wabaha. And basically Yamamoto intervenes and he's like, look, let me deal with this. And he pops his Bankai and oh my god, it's so cool. There's a lot of fire. There's a lot of special effects. They got some CGI skeletons. So the whole thing is he does a few stuff with his Bankai. He lights his sword on fire first. So the sword is now containing all the energy of his flames.
Yep.
So he tries to slash him with that a few times. And Wabaha is like, I've already seen this trick, buddy. So then he does another ability where he condenses all the flames into the tip of his sword.
And anything it touches just
blows up.
Yeah.
Like fucking huge ass dent. So he's trying to dodge that, and that doesn't work. So then he uses another ability to doesn't he just make a whole encapsulament of flames, right?
Yeah, he captures him. So it's all physical at this point in time, and then he is where he summons the cool
skeleton undead army,
and
it's everyone who's died that he's fought against.
Actually, one of the things that Wahaba and Old Man Yamamoto
is this long-standing rivalry of 1,000 years.
Well, Yamamoto defeated Wahaba 1,000 years ago.
Yes.
But the whole thing is
all the dead Quincies from 1,000 years ago are in Yamamoto's Bankai.
Wahaba doesn't care about his people. He killed his own people in order to try to succeed.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that Yamamoto said is the reason you lost is because you treat your army as if you don't treat them well. You kill them, you do whatever. I treat my army with respect.
Yeah.
And so he's turning all of the old Quincies against Wahaba. But then it's got the cool 3D skeletons.
It's so distinct. It's so cool looking.
They're all red and
then Wabaha starts to see the faces of his dead Quincy army in the skeletons and kind of almost fears for a little bit.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden he turns and he doesn't care, and that's and then I think is this where he's telling Yamamoto the reason that he didn't, or the reason that the Soul Society now is not strong is because back then, 1,000 years ago, they did whatever it takes to win, and now they actually care about humans and they care about. So you think that Yamamoto is
gonna kill Wabaha,
is victorious, and he does, and then all of a sudden,
Wabaha who has going, I'm sorry, my king.
Yeah, half of his side taken out, and then Yamamoto turns around and is like, who are you apologizing to?
And this stern Ritter,
the blonde-haired
one, kind of reveals the fact that he was just illusioning himself to look like Wabaha.
Mm-hmm.
And then actual Wabaha walks out, and he's like, yo, what's up? I was talking to Aizen.
Yes. He was trying to recruit Aizen.
Yes. And there's a really cool scene with that, with Aizen talking to Wabaha, and it's really cool to see the two villains talk and just how their ideals are different from each other. But
Yeah, because he tried to recruit Eisen, and Eisen said, "I don't work for anybody. I have my own. I have my own goals of what I want to accomplish. I'm not interested in being with you."
yes. And then
in that, he purposely distorted time.
yes, but that's revealed later.
Yeah.
And then I think about the time that this battle is over, Yamamoto gets his Bankai stolen. Because,
as soon as the Rio Wahaba appears,
Rio Wahaba shows up,
Yes.
steals Yamamoto's Bankai, and then kills him.
and that happens quick.
He dies so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, that happens in no time. And he Wahaba explains that Yamamoto thought that he couldn't his Bankai couldn't
had
be
to be
stolen.
understood.
It had to be understood.
But he's like, no, I just needed someone strong. I just needed to be strong enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then Yamamoto just fucking dies.
He's dead. He's gone.
And then about by this time, Wabaha is kind of monologuing to himself. But while this is happening, Ichigo finally breaks free.
Not yet. Okay. So, because this is where I start to have notes, and this is where I thought was really cool. So remember, as soon as Yamamoto dies, all these kind of just generic white forces from Quincy forces start to invade the Soul Society. And I thought there's really cool. I actually noticed you were kind of looking at your phone, so I don't even know if you saw it. But there's these overhead shots of Soul Society. It kind of looks like a big maze of the town.
Yeah.
And there's these little white figures that are just moving all through town and taking over everything. I thought that was so cool looking.
Yeah.
And so that everybody is losing faith. They're all getting overtaken, and this is where Ichigo finally breaks through his jail cell and is able to return.
Well, there's also that really cool scene where the research and development lab is getting invaded, and Ichigo gets the phone call.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yes.
And so Ichigo gets a phone call in the Gargantua from the research and development lab, and this guy's like, hey, help me out.
Okay, and that's what gives him the anger and energy to finally break through.
Yeah.
The Reichi is what it is. The Reichi jail cell.
I don't think
so.
I don't
Ichigo
know.
returns. There's a cool scene of him just like flying overhead and observing everything.
Yes,
and then he goes and talks to Byakuya.
And Byakuya's like, Ichigo, save the Soul Society, which is a really famous panel in the manga.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, the Ichigo save the Soul Society thing. People always make jokes about it.
And then I like that. So then this is the other cool scene. So right after that, Wahaba was he still standing over?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Ichigo's sword just...
No, well, hold on. We also totally missed the fact that, we totally skipped over the fact that Yamamoto, after he dies, reaches out towards Wabahach.
Oh, that's right.
While he's dead, just because he was pissed off. And then Wabahach monologues.
Steps on his face.
He's like, look, I think you should know this. And that's when he talks about...
That's what he talks about, the past. And
how you guys have changed your ways and gotten too comfortable with your time of peace and actually started to train people.
Okay, you're exactly
And then
right.
he steps on his face.
And they steps on his face, and then that's when
Ichigo's sword flies over to Wabaha.
So awesome. It impales in the ground right at his feet. And then...
Ichigo goes over, follows his sword, flies over there.
Yes, and then this fight scene is so fucking cool.
So,
it's the red and blue highlights.
Oh, definitely.
And they're zipping around everywhere really fast, and they're having these really fast.
Like you can't even see it, but it's so cool.
That's so awesome. It's so cool. And then Wahaba overtakes Ichigo, and basically he puts the sword in his neck.
Yes, and then you start to see, you think that, Ichigo's so gonna die. And then you start to see the blunt Venu that all the Quincies have. Blutvena, which is like their defense mechanism. It's almost like how the Arankars have Hiero, their iron skin.
Yeah.
The Quincies have Blutvena, and it's their basically protective forces. And Wabahach is like, no, it can't be.
Yeah, and then he jumps up. They have another bit of a fight, and then Wahaba gets Ichigo in the arm, and it happens again. And then he's like, okay,
no,
that
proves
what I
everything
thought I saw before.
And the fight kind of ends there because he's like, I'm not going to kill you.
Well, what happens is
he breaks his sword.
Ichigo breaks his Zanpakuto. And no, he said he's about to kill Ichigo. Wahaba's got Ichigo on the ground. He's about to kill him. And then the blonde-haired Quincy says, we got to go.
Because they only had a certain amount of time they could be in the Sarate.
Yes.
And he was like, no, I thought it was longer. And the blonde-haired guy was like, yeah, well, you were actually talking to Aizen for not 5 minutes, but like an hour.
Yeah.
Because Aizen used his Aizen trickery.
Yes.
Treachery?
And so they've got
I can feel there's a treachery through to me.
They've got to leave in their little shadows.
Yeah.
And then that's the end of episode 7. And then 8 starts with
Sorry.
everybody.
Wabahach monologues a little bit. He's like,
oh, yeah, duh.
He says, I didn't think it would awaken this early. I'm going to take you back with me later, and I will train you, my born son.
He said, my son born in the dark.
Yes.
Okay, so what happened is he said he should have... Okay, when Ichigo smashed through the Reichi jail, some of the
Reichi absorbed into
his
Ichigo's
blood.
Spiritual pressure, or along with his Soul Reaper Reichi.
And it awoken his Quincy
Quincy
memories.
Powers. Yes, memories powers.
Yes. And he says that happened sooner than I thought because his original plan was that he was going to capture Ichigo
and train him
and reawaken those memories.
Because he also talked about the jail. He's like, that jail is not meant to hold people of our kind.
Yes, it wasn't meant to hold a Quincy.
Kind.
And he says he made a mistake. He should have had an Arankar keep him there.
Yeah.
Okay, so then episode 8, they're all in the hospital in the Sarate, and Ichigo gets a call from Mayuri.
Yes.
About his broken Zanpakuto.
Ichigo, your broken Zanpakuto. I can't fix it.
It's pretty good. So he's informing him that it cannot be fixed. And as he's informing him, somebody comes in to get Ichigo because they're all summoned to go meet Squad Zero.
Yes. No, it's Mayuri who tells him to go.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, Mayuri's like, we're going to meet Squad Zero, Ichigo. Come with me.
And what at that point in time, for some reason, what's his name? The teddy bear.
Cone is there too.
Cone is there.
My goat. King of New York.
So they go and they meet Squad Zero.
Yes.
And while they're talking to him, Kisuke gets...
He's like, hey guys, Kisuke here. And Orihime and Chad are there, and they're like, hey, Ichigo. Chad's like, hey, Ichigo. And
did we determine who they had with them?
Grimmjow.
Okay.
And then Grimmjow appears in the background a little bit. He's like, hey, what are you guys doing? And then they're like, let's not let Ichigo know about this. And he really doesn't say much.
Nah, there's not much said there.
But he's just being silly Kisuke.
So they take they take Ichigo, Renji. It's just the two of them up to
they
Soul
just take
Palace?
Ichigo. They take Ichigo. No, there's other people they take too, but I can't remember.
Because I swear Rukia's up there, right?
Oh yeah, Rukia's body is up there too because she was badly injured.
Okay. And so they take him to the palace, and they're going to the different, I guess, islands, for lack of a better word, of each of these Squad Zero members.
Yes.
And so the first one they go to
is a hot spring.
The hot spring. I don't know the guy. I'm not going to know any of their names.
No, I can't.
But he what is it called? Blood Pond, Hell, White.
Yeah, there's Blood Pond. There's Blood Hell. There's Hell Blood Pond, and there's White Bone Broth. So he says, I dunk him in the white bone broth, and I throw him in the red blood pond hell. And basically, it's just he is like the best healer in the Soul Society.
Yeah.
And that's how he heals, is with these two hot springs. So he heals up Ichigo.
And then, in the middle of healing is when episode 8 ends. Episode 9 starts, and he does his final healing
yes.
of the two of them.
And he punches Ichigo really hard. And Ichigo's like, what was that for? And he's like, you're all healed up because if you weren't, that punch would have killed you. And Ichigo's like, wow, thanks, buddy. And then Renji's like, punch me too. Because he kind of stumbles out and he's like, are you sure? And Renji's like, do it. And Renji lives too. So they both move on to the next thing. And then it's revealed that the bath was really, really hot. And they just were able to stand in the bath and by the bath without any protection at all, even though it was like 1,000 degrees.
That's right. Because that guy was saying he was amazed at
how the hell did they do that?
How strong they were.
Yeah.
And the next place they go is to
the food palace.
The food palace. And nothing really that remarkable there, other than the woman goes from
looking on the bigger side to being skinny and big boobed. But basically her whole thing is that she develops the technology that was used in Cone to make the artificial souls.
That's right.
And she infused the food with artificial souls.
That's right. Okay.
So basically eating her food made her stronger.
That's right.
Or made you stronger. And then they leave that island and they go to number 1 Zanpakuto creator.
Yes, and real quick before that, happening in parallel the Sarate.
Well, in the Sarate is kind of the preparations.
They're trying to regroup from the fact that they just lost their leader.
Yeah,
and so the new leader
is
Shunsui, and Shunsui is saying that he wants to
train Kenpachi.
Yes, he's making the decision that he wants to fully train Kenpachi to
Bankai and
fight to his full potential.
Yeah,
and then what's the next episode where you'll see we learn more about that?
There's also a side plot of Uru learning about the Quincy history.
Oh yeah, that's right.
TLDR, the Quincies, and you've already know a little bit of this if you've seen the original Bleach, is that the Quincies and Hollows had different ways, or the Quincies and Soul Reapers had different ways on dealing with the Hollows.
Yep.
The Soul Reapers purify their souls to keep the balance so the world doesn't go into chaos. The Quincies just want to kill them.
Yes.
And they disagree, and they got in a war, and every 1,000 years, Wabaha comes back, and this war continues on who is...
Did you have the breakdown of them?
Yeah, it takes 900 years for his body to come back, 90 years for his brain to come back, and 9 for his power. So basically, takes 999 days. Years, but it's spaced where the first 900 is body, 90 is the 90 after the 900 is power.
Yeah.
And then that last 9 is brain. And then there's a war.
So in episode 9, there's not much else happens. They go to see number 1 Zanpakuto trainer, but nothing really happens there yet.
Yeah. So this is when you start to see Kenpachi and, oh God, what's that girl's name?
Yeah, I don't know.
The girl who was the healer, she's got the ponytail.
Ponytail in front.
Braided
ponytail in front is what my name for her.
Their whole thing is the two of them
they
fought at a really young age.
Well, he was really young. She
wasn't.
older.
But they were both really, really strong.
Yep.
And they both wanted to fight someone who was stronger than them just so they could get the thrill of battle for once.
Yes.
And they ended up having that first fight. And it's revealed later on that the ponytail girl's main drawback in that fight was she accidentally created a limit on Kenpachi because Kenpachi basically almost won, but because he knew he wouldn't get this chance to fight again, he's
subconsciously holding back.
And he's done that ever since then, that he's been handicapping himself.
So yeah.
This girl has
they go down, they go in some isolated area. Yeah, that's right.
To the jail area. And this girl pops her blood Bankai, and they just fight. And she knows that she's gonna die.
And she knows ultimately she
will die.
So the whole thing
is that she keeps killing Kenpachi
And then reviving
him, and it makes him untap his limit a little bit and a little bit more.
Yes.
And she repeatedly does this and does this and does this until he can actually kill her.
Until he can kill her. So she knows that the ultimate goal is I'm going to keep reviving you until you kill me. And then the result is he's no longer holding back and she's dead.
Yes.
Basically.
And when he no longer holds back, he starts to black out and basically kind of unconsciously awaken as Zanpakuto.
I think it's pretty cool. We didn't talk about this, or I don't know, cool is the right word, but in all of the original Bleach, I don't remember if any main character from the Soul Society dies.
I don't think so. There's a lot more deaths.
And already in
1,000 Year Blood War than
10
there is in
episodes,
anything.
there's two pretty main characters that have died off now.
Oh, yeah. So...
And then... Okay, so he's trained, and then we cut back to the palace, and now we get the full introduction to...
There's something important to mention. So, yeah, she dies, and then Kenpachi hears a voice, and this voice says, "Do you know who I am, Kenpachi? It's me," and then you don't hear the name, but it's basically implied that this is his Zanpakuto.
Okay,
and I don't know if you recognize the voice...
Mm-mm.
But the voice of his Zanpakuto is the same voice actor as Yachiru.
Who's Yachiru?
The little girl that always hangs around him.
Oh, okay.
So
that's
you
cool.
connect the dots.
Okay, that's really cool. I didn't catch that part. Okay, I like that.
So then we go to number one Zanpakuto creator. We go to his palace.
So he's got all these women around. He's got like his little harem.
And they're all Zanpakutos, it's revealed. And he's like, "You guys are stupid. You guys didn't even know they were Zanpakutos." And he throws them in this giant pit then. He's like, "You guys want to repair your Zanpakuto? Here's a bunch of Asayuchis, which are the blank swords given to Soul Society trainees that are allowed to be imprinted on by their..."
I love when he says Asuichi.
Asuichi.
Yo, Asuichi.
It's a cool name.
It is.
But, so basically they spend 72 hours in this pit trying to get an Asayuchi to respect them.
Mm-hmm.
And just think you need that mutual respect to form a Zanpakuto. So Renji gets one.
Yep.
But Ichigo doesn't.
Yep.
And he's like, "Too bad, Ichigo. Too bad, Goichi."
Yeah, he doesn't tell him Goichi yet. I think it's not till later. But I do love Goichi.
He says, "Too bad, Ichigo.
Goichi.
You're going to hell." No, he doesn't say that. But he says, "I'm sending you back. You're not allowed to be here anymore. If you can't get an Asayuchi, you can't go to the next place. So I'm sending you back home." And without any, Ichigo he tries to get a word out, and all of a sudden he's back in front of the clinic.
Yeah.
And his
so
dad...
this is where episode 11 starts,
oh
if it
my
matters.
God. So his dad sees him for 2 seconds. He just starts to run away, and he runs to his employer's place.
What's her name?
I can't think of it. But basically he takes a shower, and he just kind of...
She's hot, too.
She is. He monologues for a bit. He's like, I don't get it. You know, he's just kind of going on. He's like, "There's something I just don't know that pisses me off."
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of cuts back to number one Zanpakuto creator. And because he's talking to one of the Zanpakuto women. And she's like, "Why'd you send him back? He needs a new Zanpakuto." And he says, "I don't think you..." He's like, "Ichigo never got an Asayuchi." He's like, because I'm the number one Zanpakuto creator, I know the location of every Asayuchi at every moment.
Mm-hmm.
I know everyone's thing. Ichigo never got an Asayuchi. He formed this sword on his own. So there's something about this that I can't do until he fully knows his power."
Okay.
So it cuts back to Ichigo. He takes a shower, and he kind of is like, "All right, I'm gonna go home."
And he left his Soul Reaper badge.
He left his Soul Reaper badge here. Yes.
And then she brought it back.
Later. But
yeah. Okay.
yeah. So basically,
I think his dad says basically it's time I tell you.
Yeah, he's like, "You told me earlier," because he said it during the Aizen fight. He said, "Dad, please tell me about this whenever you feel like it's appropriate." He said, "I'm not going to ask any questions. Just when you think the time is right, tell me."
So what's the backstory?
So the backstory is Ichigo's dad, Isshin Kurosaki. It wasn't Kurosaki, but Isshin used to be a Soul Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
He one day was on an expedition in Katakura Town because
a lot of Soul Reapers
were dying mysteriously. So
and happened to be it was always when it was raining.
Always when it was raining. So he runs into this hollow whose hollow, the name is White,
Mm-hmm.
and this hollow is really advanced, and it's revealed this was one of Lord Aizen's creations.
Mm-hmm.
One of his hollow experiments with hollification. And this hollow's really strong. He's got like an exosuit with sword arms and everything. And Ishin tries to fight this guy. And all of a sudden it cuts to a parallel of this girl sitting at a dinner table talking about her Quincy training.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of see that she's the surviving member of the Kurosaki clan. And she has to do her Quincy stuff to appropriately
And
like,
she's basically
power up.
She's basically been adopted by
the Ishida family.
the Ishida family.
So
it's what's his name's dad?
Uru's dad.
Uru's dad. And but he's wanting to marry her. Is that the whole deal? Is that
Yeah, just so they can keep this
okay? Yeah.
bloodline of the Kurosakis going.
Okay.
So basically, she picks up on the spiritual pressure of the hollow.
Of that hollow.
And she goes out to fight it. Uru's dad says, "No, don't do this. You're going to get in trouble." She goes anyways. So she goes and basically distracts the Soul Reaper from Ishin, has it bite her, and then she shoots it in the head with a Quincy bow.
Yes.
So she's now bitten by a hollow.
Yep.
And they kill the hollow, and they kind of say, Aizen, or Geen and the blind guy say to Aizen, they're like, okay, what the fuck do we do? This experiment just went not as planned. And Aizen's like, let it play out.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, there's something that'll spawn from this. So they kind of have a conversation. Ishin's like,
he falls head over heels.
yeah, he's like, who are you? And she's like, oh God, don't kill me, don't kill me, don't kill me. I'm a Quincy, don't kill me. I'm a Quincy, don't kill me. And she's like, I'm a Quincy. And he's like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know they actually existed. And that's it. That's the end of their exchange. And she falls head over heels for him. And he kind of does the same. And he heads back and he's just thinking about her. And then it cuts to, after they have that exchange, it cuts up to the sky and it's Uru's dad and their maid watching and saying that there's nothing to report because, everything's fine. We're going to keep this a secret.
Yeah.
So basically, there's some stuff about Ishin and the Soul Society. I didn't think it was too important.
Yeah, agreed.
But then basically she, Kurosaki girl gets infected from the hollow and they're all scrambling to save her.
Yeah, and then I think we go into episode 12. And
12.
I don't remember why I wrote this. It doesn't make the statement untrue, but I wrote, I love Kisuke.
Oh, yeah. Well,
wait, what does he do that he shows up?
He shows up later because they're going to save her, and there's kind of like a little bit of a discourse because I think another hollow shows up.
Yes, that's right, because they're fighting, and he just kind of pops up.
And he just pops up and kills the thing.
Okay, yes.
And he's like, hey, guys. And then basically
so fun.
Kisuke says, look, she's infected. Normally what we do is, because I've been working with a few holification people, he says normally what we do is we get a counteract to it because we use Quincy blood because Quincies are the opposites of both hollows and Soul Reaper. No,
Quincy's the opposite of a Soul Reaper.
Soul Reaper.
A hollow is the opposite of a human.
So basically, but when they were trying to fix the other holification people like Shinji,
yes,
he used
just the opposite.
He used Quincy, like artificial Quincy.
Yeah,
Reichi.
And typically it would just be 1-to-1.
Yes, but
in this case, Ichigo's mom is a combination of Quincy and human.
So they needed a Soul Reaper
plus hollow.
No.
Yeah.
She had
she's
hollow.
She's Quincy and hollow.
So they needed a Soul Reaper human.
Yeah, Soul Reaper human to inject.
But there's no half human, half Soul Reaper. So what Kisuke says is, or what
he created
a antidote.
Okay, that's right. He creates like a shell.
Well, yeah, he creates a shell. Well, he doesn't actually say that yet, but he's like, we need something the opposite of it.
Yes.
And that needs to be around her constantly. This isn't just a one and done thing.
Uh-huh.
And then Uru's dad goes, if that's what needs to be done, very well then. And Kisuke's like, so I see you understand what I'm saying. And Ishin goes, I don't understand what the fuck you guys are saying.
Oh yeah, and he said it had to be Ishin's decision because
the whole thing is to fix her. Kisuke made a portable a Gigai that would remove Ishin's Soul Reaper powers as long as this hollow human Quincy virus plagued the Kurosaki bloodline.
Right.
And he would not be able to become a Soul Reaper until it broke. And he'd have to stay with this woman forever. And it's what he says he's going to do.
Yeah, okay.
So he dedicates his life to her to keep her alive. And then we fast forward a bit to the day that Ichigo's mom died. And what actually happened was that day was the 9 years ago that Wabahach regained his power.
I was just kind of laughing because I knew I had written it down somewhere exactly the way that old man Yamamoto said it. Yamamoto. It's Yuhabaha. Yuhabaha.
All right. But basically, Wabaha, whatever his name is, took Quincy powers from the Quincies who were unfitting to regain his power. And one of those just happened to be Ichigo's mom.
And it happened right while she was fighting Grand Fisher.
Which is why she died to Grand Fisher.
Which is why she died.
So that's the whole story. Well, there's one more tidbit, and that's when Ichigo awakened his hollow powers.
Okay.
He broke this curse, and that's why Ishin was able to use his Soul Reaper stuff.
Okay, that's right. So he's got his Soul Reaper power
Yes,
back.
he no longer needed to be there as a nullifier.
Okay. That ends episode 12, so now we're on the final episode of Cour 1.
So, final episode is Ichigo learns his history, and he goes back.
So we're back to the...
Sorry, he doesn't go back. He's called back by one of the Zanpakuto girls.
Okay.
She appears, and she's like, it's time. Come with me, Ichigo. So she and Ichigo go to the number one Zanpakuto creator's place.
Mm-hmm.
He walks back down to the pit of the Asauchis.
Yep.
And the second he steps foot, all the Asauchis get on their knees and just bow to Ichigo. It's the coolest fucking
Is this where I wrote,
scene.
I love blank stare Asauchi?
So they all just bow down to Ichigo. It's so fucking cool. He just casually walks to the very end, and he touches this one Asauchi, and a hollow-ish mass starts to form on it. And then this Asauchi basically follows him around when they go to the forge.
Yes.
And the forge is such a cool place. So what he does is, number one Zanpakuto creator lights the forge with 5 Zanpakuto girls. They all do one special thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ichigo goes up, deposits his old Zanpakuto in this new Asauchi.
Yes.
Who's just kind of staring around. He's kind of funny looking. But Ichigo then is told by number one Zanpakuto creator that he needs to go talk to Zangetsu one final time. And oh my god, this scene is so cool. So he goes back to his inner world.
Yep.
And he's on the building, and except this time it's not the normal sky color. It's all in that pink shading.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool.
Yeah, this is where they restylize it completely.
And you see old man Zangetsu at the end of the building.
Mm-hmm.
And Ichigo kind of goes up to talk to him. He says, Zangetsu! And he's like, my name's not Zangetsu. And he goes on this rant. He's like, I'm sure you're looking at me right now. And looking and seeing that I look familiar.
Yuhabaha.
So, Zangetsu is actually Yubaha Wabahach from 1,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he was never Zangetsu. I mean, he still was technically part of Zangetsu, but he says, I've never fully come to your aid, Ichigo. I've always been there to semi-help you.
Mm-hmm.
But who was it who helped you in the fight with Eukoria and Grimjow when you were almost dead? It was always White. the White
The
Hollow,
White. Yep.
which was the Hollow that Ishin fought that infected Ichigo's mom.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's like, others, not White Zangetsu, but he's like, notice who always saved you. I never wanted you to become a Soul Reaper. I swore that I'd kill you if you became a Soul Reaper. But as I watched you evolve and grow, I realized that it didn't matter to me and that I wanted you to make your own decision. I'd support you no matter what. And he says, I've never told you a lie other than my name, Ichigo. And Ichigo, the second this is told to him, the place floods. Because when his heart wavers, it rains.
Mm-hmm.
So his heart is wavered so much in the moment that they're drowning. And basically, Wabahat Zangetsu starts to fade away, and he says, I'll leave you with this, my son. Here are your Quincy powers, fully unlocked, not suppressed by me. And it's so cool because he grabs this glowing blue sword, and then he leaves the place, and then number 1 Bankai theme starts to play, and Ichigo reaches into the forge, into the orange flames, grabs out 2 swords.
Yeah.
One for White Zangetsu and one for not White Zangetsu.
Yes.
He holds them, has them materialize away because they're his Zanpakuto, and then he says, I don't care what you say about yourself, old man Zangetsu. Both of you are Zangetsu to me. And I've both realized that you are me. And it ends on this like black background, pink text that just says the blade is me.
Yeah.
And it's so fucking cool. And oh my god, it's so badass.
Yeah, that's such an awesome ending.
I know.
It's so cool, and yeah, it's funny. I was thinking we watched both Cours. Now that I think back about it, I can remember a lot of Cour 2 now, and boy, talk about animation.
Yeah,
and
I
stuff.
cannot wait for Cour 2. It's got some really cool moments. I
It's
cannot
got some
wait
great
to see.
battle scenes.
Specifically, I'm excited to see Rukia Bankai and Shinji Bankai.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think those are 2 of the coolest things in my opinion.
And didn't we learn something else at the very end of this? Didn't we?
At what, the end of Cour 1?
Somewhere at the end of Cour 1, right?
Just that. We learned that Uru
Yes.
joins Wabahat.
Yeah.
Fucking, God.
All right. I love it.
So,
Love it.
yeah.
I love it when you start to get into these anime that I've already watched that I really liked a lot, and I get to revisit
Yeah,
them.
I know. I'm so excited to watch Cour 2 and then do Cour 3 live.
I can't wait till I finish One Piece, and then you go back and watch One Piece, and we do the podcast where we do episode by episode all of One Piece.
1,000 episodes, guys. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else noteworthy to add.
Let's try to, can we, as we're doing 1,000 Year Blood War, let's try to work in Baccano.
Okay, we can do that. But yeah, so Cour 2 will probably come out really soon because we need to go fast.
No, Cour 2's already, you mean?
I mean, our episode,
you mean the
episode
episode.
on
I
Cour
gotcha,
2 will come out really fast.
All right, well, yeah, you get your butt washing.
No duh. But yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. If you have any cool Bleach facts, email us at generationalanimepod@gmail.com. But here's the Bleach.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Bleach out.